Ladies, let's have a real conversation today. Let's stop sugarcoating things that are already crystal clear. If he's still out there looking, scrolling, liking, flirting, or entertaining options, let me say this as loud as I can: he's not your man. You are not a pit stop on his way to figuring himself out. You are not a placeholder while he shops around. You are not a backup plan. You are a woman of value, and the minute you forget that, you start settling for crumbs when you deserve the whole damn cake. Let's break it down. Loyalty is not a favor, it's a standard. If a man claims to love you but can't stop scanning the room for something shinier, that's not love. That's greed dressed as confusion. That's insecurity camouflaged as freedom. And you, my darling, are not a rehabilitation center for emotionally unavailable men. A real man, the kind who sees you, who chooses you, doesn't keep browsing after finding home. He doesn't keep options open because he's too scared to commit. He closes the doors behind him when he walks into your life because he knows your worth, and he knows that women like you don't come around twice. But the question is, do you know your worth? See, sometimes we know he's not all in. We feel it, we see it, the late replies, the changed passwords, the vague answers, the double taps on girls' pictures he claims he doesn't know. But we stay, we rationalize, we hope, we beg loyalty from a man who can't even give us consistency. The man who's truly yours won't leave you guessing. He won't make you feel replaceable. He won't need space at every time commitment knocks on the door. He'll know, he'll show, he'll stay. And when that happens, you'll realize all the ones who looked past you were simply blind to your magic. So the next time you catch yourself asking, why is he still looking? Remember this: the moment he keeps looking is the moment you start walking, not out of anger, not out of spite, but out of self-respect. You are not a placeholder. That sentence alone should echo in your mind every time you find yourself waiting on read receipts, making excuses for his cold behavior, or holding on to hope that maybe, just maybe, he'll finally see your worth. The brutal truth is, when a man is still out there looking, flirting, or entertaining other women while keeping you in his life, he is placing you on a shelf not as a treasure, but as a convenience. He's treating you like a backup plan, someone to come home to when nothing better works out. That isn't love, and it certainly isn't respect. It's comfort, it's selfishness, and most of all, it's unfair to your soul. A woman like you is not meant to be someone's emotional waiting room. You're not supposed to be waiting for someone to stop playing games while you invest your energy, your loyalty, and your time. You deserve to be chosen with clarity, not hesitation. But when you allow yourself to stay in a situation where a man is unsure, where he still needs to figure things out, or wants to keep it casual, you slowly start chipping away at your own self-worth. You begin adjusting to his inconsistency. You begin shrinking your needs to avoid being too much. You begin tolerating things that once felt disrespectful because your heart wants to believe he'll stop looking. But here's the harsh reality: if he hasn't stopped yet, he probably won't. You are not an in-between chapter. You are the full story, and no one has the right to treat you like an option while expecting you to give your all. You must understand that being kept in someone's life only when it's convenient for them is emotional manipulation. You become the safe harbor, the fallback, the just-in case, while he sails into other waters pretending he's searching for clarity. That's not romantic. That's exploitation dressed in charm, and your presence in his life should never be conditional on whether someone better comes along. Stop settling for breadcrumb love, the kind that feeds your hope just enough to keep you around, but never enough to actually make you feel secure. The truth is, the man who truly values you won't need to search for someone else. He won't need to compare. He won't need time. Because when a man is truly ready and emotionally mature, he recognizes a good woman when she's in front of him and he holds on, not out of fear of losing her, but out of gratitude for having her. But none of this matters if you don't believe it yourself. The longer you accept a placeholder role, the more you internalize the lie that maybe that's all you're good for, being almost loved, half, prioritized, and occasionally wanted. That's where self-worth must step in. That's where you remind yourself that your time, your heart, your soul are not casual commodities. You are not for maybe, you are for absolutely. And if he can't say that with his actions, not just his words, then you need to be brave enough to walk away, not because you don't care, but because you finally do, about yourself, about your peace, about your future. Let him look, let him wander, let him chase illusions, but you rise, because a woman who knows her worth never competes for attention. She commands respect by refusing to be anyone's second choice. True love doesn't cause doubt. That's the simplest truth most people overlook when they're caught in the emotional chaos of confusing relationships. Love, in its purest form, is not supposed to feel like a constant guessing game. It's not supposed to leave you staring at your phone, wondering why he hasn't replied, or questioning whether you did something wrong to make him pull away. When someone truly loves you, you know it not because they tell you 1,000 times, but because their actions never make you wonder where you stand. There's a peace in real love, a calm, a sense of belonging. When that peace is absent and replaced by anxiety, overthinking, and emotional tug-of-war, that's not love, that's insecurity being masked as affection. It's heartbreaking how many women get trapped in a cycle of emotional confusion, mistaking it for passion. They mistake inconsistency for excitement, mixed signals for challenge, and distant behavior for emotional depth. But if someone truly values you, they don't leave you confused. They don't show up strong one day and cold the next. They don't keep you on a leash of hope while they explore other options. That constant doubt you feel, that's your intuition screaming. That's your inner self reminding you that love isn't meant to feel like walking on eggshells. If he makes you feel like you're always one step away from being replaced, if he keeps you waiting, guessing it means his presence is disrupting your peace, not adding to it. Love should never make you feel like you need to compete. If he's constantly testing your loyalty while never proving his own, if you're the one always initiating conversations, planning meetups, holding the relationship together, then you're not in a partnership. You're in a performance, and performances are exhausting. What you deserve is someone who doesn't just say you matter, but lives it. Someone who makes you feel like you're his piece, not his plan B. Someone who makes you feel secure even in silence, not anxious when he disappears. So many women stay in situations that tear them apart from the inside because they fear starting over. But starting over is far less painful than staying stuck in a cycle of confusion. When it's love, you'll know. You won't have to search for signs. You'll feel safe, valued, and whole, not just sometimes, but consistently. The kind of love you accept is a reflection of the kind of love you believe you deserve. That's why it's so important to stop accepting half-hearted love. It's not just about him, it's about you. If you believe that broken communication, emotional distance, and lack of clarity are all that relationships can offer, then that's what you'll continue to attract. But when you raise your standards and refuse to settle for anything less than someone who shows up fully and consistently, everything changes. You start attracting people who meet your energy. You start valuing your time and peace more than their excuses. You start realizing that your love isn't a privilege for just anyone to access. It's a reward for the one who's willing to show up, stay present, and truly commit. Half-hearted love looks like breadcrumbs, just enough to keep you around, never enough to make you feel full. It's promises that never materialize, apologies that come without change, and gestures that feel forced rather than genuine. You start living in the highs, tolerating the lows, and hoping that someday he'll wake up and love you the way you crave. But love shouldn't be an emotional roller coaster. It should be steady, honest, and whole. When you stop settling, you stop suffering, you begin healing, you begin attracting what mirrors your growth, not your wounds. So make a decision that you won't entertain anyone who loves you in halves. You are not meant to live on maybe. You are meant to live in certainty, in passion, and in truth. His inability to commit reflects his issues, not your worth. That's something every woman needs to tattoo on her heart, because when a man hesitates, pulls away, or keeps you waiting in emotional limbo, it's easy to think it's because of something lacking in you. Maybe you're not pretty enough, exciting enough, smart enough. Maybe if you change the way you speak, the way you dress, the way you love, he'll finally choose you. But the truth is, when a man can't commit, it's not a reflection of your flaws. It's a mirror of his fears, his wounds, and his own emotional immaturity. You could be the most loving, understanding, extraordinary woman on earth, and he would still be unsure because the problem isn't you. It's what's broken in him. We live in a world that tries to convince women that if a man leaves or cheats or hesitates, it's because we didn't do enough. That lie has kept women trapped in toxic patterns, constantly trying to be more for someone who isn't even emotionally available. But think about it. How is it your responsibility to fix a man's indecision? Since when did it become your job to convince someone to love you the way you deserve? You were not created to beg for a place in someone's life. Love isn't supposed to be earned through struggle. If he needs time, space, and freedom to figure it out, then he doesn't see your value clearly. And when someone doesn't recognize your worth, it's not your job to hand them a microscope. It's your job to walk away with grace and dignity. There are men who chase love but fear what it means to fully receive it. They want comfort but not commitment. They want your energy without your expectations. They want access to your body and your presence but not responsibility for your heart. So they dangle just enough attention to keep you hoping, while staying emotionally distant enough to protect their freedom. That's not confusion, that's selfishness. It's a strategy to avoid accountability while reaping the benefits of your loyalty. And the longer you stay, hoping that your consistency will change his inconsistency, the more you start doubting your own value. But here's the shift. When you finally realize that his hesitation isn't about you, you stop personalizing his lack of commitment. You begin to see that emotional availability is a requirement, not a bonus. You deserve someone who doesn't hesitate, someone who says yes to you without blinking. You deserve a man who feels lucky to have found you, not one who acts like you're replaceable. And most importantly, you deserve love that's aligned mind, heart, and action. A love that chooses you, not one that keeps you waiting while it looks around. Don't let a man's confusion become your cage. Don't let his emotional immaturity shrink your light. You can't force someone to be ready for the kind of love you offer, and you shouldn't try. That's not your burden to carry. You are not his therapist. You are not his savior. You are a woman, whole and radiant, and you deserve a man who's ready, not someone who keeps you stuck in almost. Love while he figures himself out. If he can't commit, let him go. Let him do the work he needs to do, but don't you dare lose yourself in the process. You are not defined by someone else's confusion. You are defined by your power to choose better. You attract what you believe you deserve. That statement holds more truth than most people are ready to accept. The kind of love, respect, and treatment you allow into your life is not just about the people around you, it's a direct reflection of how you see yourself. If you walk around believing that you're only worthy of attention when you're perfect, when you're quiet, when you're low maintenance, then you'll constantly find yourself in relationships where you're undervalued, overlooked, and underappreciated. Because you're subconsciously sending out a message that says, "This is all I deserve," and the universe, the people, and the love you attract will respond accordingly. Think about it. How many times have you stayed in situations far beneath you because some part of you believed that was the best you could get? How many times have you silenced your needs, played it cool, laughed when you wanted to cry, accepted half effort because you feared asking for more would push him away? That's not strength. That's fear disguised as love. And it stems from a deep-rooted belief that maybe you're not enough to be fully loved, wholly chosen, and completely prioritized. But let me tell you something that could change everything. The moment you raise your standards, everything around you begins to shift. When you start believing that you deserve to be loved out loud, not in silence, not in secret, you stop entertaining people who make you feel like you're too much or not enough. You stop chasing after men who leave your messages unread, who make you doubt your intuition, who breadcrumb you with just enough attention to keep you hoping, because hope without action is manipulation. And real love never manipulates, it shows up fully, clearly, and consistently. The internal shift must happen first. You have to look at yourself in the mirror and say, "I am not available for anything less than real." That doesn't mean perfection, it means effort. It means someone who matches your energy, not someone who drains it. Someone who respects your boundaries, not someone who keeps crossing them and apologizing later. Someone who knows your value without needing reminders. When you hold yourself in high regard, you filter out those who don't. But here's the hard part. Raising your standards also means being okay with being alone until the right one shows up. It means not settling for connection just because you're lonely. It means walking away from what's familiar if it no longer feeds your soul. It means being brave enough to say, "I love you, but I love me more." Because that's what self-respect sounds like. That's what self-worth feels like. And the beautiful thing is, once you embody that energy, once you truly believe that you are worthy of deep, loyal, transformative love, you naturally start attracting people who feel the same. It's not magic. It's alignment. The love you allow in is always teaching others how to treat you. So stop begging for love that should come freely. Stop lowering your voice just to keep someone from walking away. Stop shrinking to fit into spaces that were never meant for you. Start choosing you with the same intensity, loyalty, and devotion you've given to others. Because when you finally believe that you deserve the very best, the universe has no choice but to deliver it. If he's still looking, it's not because you're lacking, it's because he's not ready or capable of valuing someone like you. That's a hard pill to swallow, especially when you've given your heart, your loyalty, and your time to someone who still has one foot out the door. But here's the truth. A man who truly sees you for who you are, your heart, your strength, your essence, won't keep browsing like love is a shopping mall. He'll know and he'll stop. Not because you forced him to, not because you begged or changed or proved anything, but because your presence was enough. Because the right man isn't still looking when he's found a woman of real worth. The wrong man, however, could have everything and still not know what to do with it. You could be loving, beautiful, intelligent, grounded, and still be questioned by a man who doesn't even know what he's looking for. That doesn't make you unworthy, that makes him unready. You can't pour more into someone who has no capacity to hold it. You can't make someone see you clearly if they're wearing fogged-up glasses from their own confusion, fear, or immaturity. And the more you try to prove yourself to someone incapable of seeing your light, the more you dim it, the more you chase, the more you lose your footing. And the more you stay, the more you start to believe the lie that if you were just a little more something more sexy, more soft, more patient, more easy going, then maybe he'd stop looking. But the man who is emotionally ready doesn't look beyond the woman he's chosen. Because when he finds something real, he doesn't keep searching for fantasy. He knows the difference between substance and surface. He knows that loyalty, presence, trust, and depth can't be replaced by temporary excitement or another pretty face. A mature man doesn't treat love like a backup plan. He doesn't play with emotions and call it just figuring things out. He doesn't string you along while entertaining attention from others. If he's still scrolling, flirting, messaging, and just talking to other women while keeping you close, it's not because he's confused. It's because he's keeping his options open. And that means he hasn't truly chosen you. And if he hasn't chosen you, then he doesn't deserve you. So many women internalize a man's emotional uncertainty as their own personal failure, but that's the trap. You start fixing yourself for someone who doesn't even know what they want. You start taking on their emotional chaos as your responsibility. But it's not. His lack of vision isn't a sign that you're not enough, it's a sign that he's not ready for the kind of woman you are. If he doesn't see your worth, don't waste your time proving it. That's the energy every woman needs to embrace when love starts to feel like an uphill battle. When you feel like you're constantly showing up, giving, explaining, and bending just to be seen, that's not love, that's desperation disguised as hope. A man who truly values you doesn't need a presentation, a performance, or a second chance to realize your worth. He just knows, and if he doesn't, no amount of convincing, waiting, or sacrificing will make him wake up and suddenly see you for who you really are. You can't force awareness into someone who refuses to open his eyes. When you start to feel replaceable, overlooked, or taken for granted, that's your cue. That's your signal from the universe, from your spirit, from the deepest part of your soul telling you it's time to walk. Because a man who genuinely loves you would never risk losing you. He wouldn't keep you wondering. He wouldn't make you compete with distractions. He would protect your heart, not play with it. But the more you stay in spaces where you're not appreciated, the more you begin to doubt yourself. The more you convince yourself that maybe you're the problem. Maybe you're asking for too much. Maybe you're too emotional, too direct, too intense. That internal questioning is exactly how you lose your power. And you owe it to yourself to never shrink for a man who doesn't even notice when you go quiet. You see, a woman who knows her value doesn't fight to be understood. She simply removes herself. She doesn't chase. She doesn't argue. She doesn't beg. She watches. She observes. And when she realizes her energy is being drained instead of cherished, she exits gracefully. Because nothing is more powerful than a woman who chooses her peace over temporary affection. Your time, your love, your body, your energy, these are sacred things. They are not gifts you just hand out to whoever shows the slightest bit of interest. They are rewards for a man who comes correct, who shows consistency, who leads with respect, and who treats you as irreplaceable from the start. Don't spend your life trying to be enough for someone who isn't even looking for something real. Don't try to inspire him to change. That's not your job. You are not his lesson, you are a blessing. And if he's too distracted, immature, or damaged to recognize that, let him go find out the hard way. Let him chase temporary thrills and surface-level connections. Let him realize, too late, that women like you don't come around twice. And when that day comes, don't look back. Because while he was out there searching, you'll be building. Growing, healing, living, loving yourself in the way he never could. A man who truly wants you won't need to be convinced to treat you right. He'll do it because he values who you are, not what you can give, not what you look like, not how convenient you are for his life, but because of your soul, your presence, your heart. So if he makes you feel invisible, overlooked, like you're always one moment away from being replaced, believe him. That's your closure. That's your sign. Walk away, not because you're bitter, but because you've finally remembered who you are. And a woman who knows her worth never stays where she's not seen.